for braving the rain and being here. My name is Kavita, and it's truly my pleasure to be your MC for this very special evening. It is truly precious for us that you're all here for the first anniversary celebrations of the Mind Diaries. 1 year already. Oh, yes. 1 year of many heartfelt stories, of expert columns, of creating awareness, and of normalizing reaching out to mental health experts. And no, it certainly hasn't been a cakewalk. This 1 year at the Mind Diary, the first of its kind magazine in India on mental health and well-being. And you know what? We knew it wasn't going to be an easy road. But with you and our other patrons firmly by our side, we have crossed an important milestone. The Mind Diary started as a thought over a phone call when two ex-colleagues from the Hindustan Times, Seema Kumar and Prachi Raturi Mishra, were speaking to each other in the summer of 2021. COVID fire had brought to the fore the many challenges we all faced, but didn't really speak about. Seema had seen her own set of challenges very close to her, as had Prachi. That general hi, how have you been call turned out to be special. After having worked in the mainstream for over 35 and 25 years respectively, both realized there wasn't even one dedicated magazine in India that spoke about mental health and well-being. The idea, the content was trashed out for a few months. In came Sachi Marva in the winter of 2021. With her background in the social sector and her passion for doing more than saying, she stepped in as the third party. Sachi brought in Rayan Mohtar to help us with the website. Today, Rayan, a brilliant photographer by profession, is also our go-to person for any technical support. Pranav Saha, an ex-colleague from HT, chipped in as the designer to give that vibrant edge to our magazine. Namrata Gupta, senior consultant, clinical psychologist in hands, felt so strongly of our motive that she joined us as our chief mental health and well-being advisor. Other mental health experts like Samindra Sawant, Sheetal Ravi, and Veena Krishnan joined in our efforts and continue to give us wholehearted support. And the Mind Diaries came alive. The bright young Sukriti Taneja joined us much later as an intern. A mass media student specializing in photography and videography, she brings great cheer to our group, especially with her social media posts on our official handles. All this while managing her college and a job in London. We've had the privilege of some dedicated writers like Sharat Kohli, Veenu Singh, Anshu Arora, Sunita Tiwari, and several others. So many brilliant individuals, one goal normalizing reaching out to mental health experts. Because the Mind Diaries believes healthy in mind is healthy in body. Mental health globally and in India is a massive challenge. WHO estimates the economic loss due to mental health conditions between 2012 and 2030 at USD 1.03 trillion. This, of course, is just the economic loss. There are several other types of losses and challenges which many of us sitting here have felt one way or the other. The Mind Diaries is here to make a difference, however small that step may seem. This evening celebrates that step because mental health matters. So let us start the evening by welcoming Dr. Sujatha Sharma. A practicing clinical psychologist for about 40 years, Dr. Sharma has been involved in consulting with the National Institute of Aging USA and UNICEF India for development of assessment and training materials. Dr. Sharma is also the managing trustee of RAHAT Charitable and Medical Research Trust, an NGO in the field of mental health. She is also the recipient of several awards. Dr. Sharma carries on the dream she and her husband, late Dr. Avdesh Sharma, saw together. Dr. Avdesh Sharma, a consultant well-being psychiatrist with over 35 years of clinical practice in Delhi, was a very well-known name in the industry. He worked extensively with print, radio, and television, producing and anchoring several series on mental health and well-being, like Mind Watch and Man Ki Baat. The husband-wife duo had started mindspecialist.com, a web-based mental health portal, and Better Minds, a mental health and well-being consultancy service. Today, she carries on with the mission single-handedly while managing her many roles. May I now request Seema Kumar, Editor-in-Chief and co-founder of the Mind Diaries, to welcome Dr. Sujatha Sharma with the token of appreciation. Thank you, Seema. I now request Dr. Sujatha Sharma to give her talk on why mental health matters. Can I skip out? Yes, please.
Hello, and good evening to all of you who are here. It's my great pleasure and a privilege to be here on the first anniversary of Mind Diaries. Uh, I don't know, suddenly Seema just came back into my life recently, and she told me that this magazine has been around for about a year, and I was feeling very bad that I didn't know about it at all. I'm so sorry. And it's really wonderful to get to know that there's an exclusive mental health related magazine that's there in this country. And actually, I was just thinking, um, everybody wants to talk about mental health, but when it comes to participation, like today, for example, I know a lot of people who told me that they'd love to come and they want to be there and everything, but that is always the reason why they couldn't turn up. So that's the story of mental health, I think. We don't want to, we acknowledge it, we know it's a problem, it's a huge problem, but we're very reluctant to talk about it in any manner, you know, whether we want to acknowledge it, we have somebody we know, or whether we want to seek help, or whether we want to contribute in some way. But things are changing. And I hope this magazine really accelerates that change in public perception of mental health issues. So I'm going to start and have this young lady is going to help me move the screen. So what should it matter? And what is, I mean, it's a little basic, but I think the topic was so large, I needed to get a focus somewhere. So I think when we all talk about mental health, we really need to know exactly what kya hai. What do we actually refer to when we talk about mental health? So it includes our emotional, social, psychological, and this is the original WHO concept of well-being. But lately, there's been a lot of speculation of including the spiritual dimension as well. So there are a lot of other dimensions of well-being which are not formally in any definition. So it really is something that affects us the way we think, we feel, we act, we perceive, we create, it pervades all aspects of our life, and it also determines how we handle life itself, how we handle the stresses that we face in our day-to-day life, how do we relate to others, how do we perform, our choices, our decisions, everything depends on our state of mind. So mental health is important at every stage, from childhood and adolescence. So it's like any health. I mean, if you look at physical health, बचपन से ही इतना physical health important है जितना अभी mental health भी important है. But that's something we don't really recognize, because a lot of times when children express or talk about some issues related, some problems related to their psychological functioning or something, we tend to kind of brush it aside. We tend to give some explanations, justifying why it should be thought of as normal rather than off the normal. So it's a lifespan issue. And over the course of life, we have issues. There are many problems that we all go through, and it affects our thinking, mood, and behavior. Next one. So, why is it important? First of all, there is no health without mental. And you can't think, I mean, just think of a young child who's been bullied in school and who got severe, repercussions, the trauma of being bullied, being teased or being harassed, and then the child is living with it, not able to do anything about it, maybe bearing it quietly. Now you can imagine how it can affect every aspect of that child's functioning. The पढ़ाई नहीं होगी, the child is so scared, living in fear, not able to live, not able to, have a healthy relationship with a peer group, and maybe having some other serious problems. It develops something like a bedwetting problem, or can go into a phobic reaction. There's so whole gamut of issues that can happen if your mind is not okay. And this can start right from childhood, as I mentioned. So it affects, if you see, let's keep pressing it, it will appear. It appears our cognition. So when we talk about cognition, it's everything related to the mind and our thinking. So called thinking factor. How do we perceive, how do we process things, information processing, creativity, decision making, reasoning, all that is related to the aspect of cognition, understanding everything around us. Then it affects our emotions, no doubt, because if our mind is not feeling good, we don't have the right moods. We may be moody. We may have mood swings. We may have, intense periods of anxiety, sadness, panic. So, what would put mentally, emotionally, we could be on a roller coaster if our mind is not healthy or well. And thirdly, it affects your behavior. So, when we talk about behavior, we talk about abnormal behavior, we talk about people we are using these terms which shouldn't be used. Mad, crazy, pagal, all those terms are definitely not to be used, but they are being used, and in a way that's a layman's language describe what is abnormal. And again, what is normal, abnormal, a huge topic for discussion, but more or less, we all recognize when something is not behaving in a normal manner. Now, again, here I want to stress that nobody is abnormal all the time and nobody is normal all the time. So, we are all on a continuum and we keep going back and forth on that continuum. But in general, there are signs of what we call abnormal behaviors. Otherwise, we will not be able to recognize, identify people who have a problem and how to deal with them, how to do some kind of treatment for them. तो उसके लिए हमको norms चाहिए, classification भी चाहिए और criteria भी चाहिए. So we have those systems in place. And I don't know how many of you have heard, but there is something called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, DSM. There are many versions. Now we have the fifth version, which is produced by the American Psychiatric Association. And there's one called the International Classification of Diseases, ICD, which is developed by the WHO. There are two systems of classification based on which we are able to recognize क्या problem है, what kind of disorder, what are the signs, symptoms, when we should call it a problem, when we should not. So it gives us all those inputs. Next slide. So coming to why is it important? So there are some points here, and I'm sure you'll recognize and you know all of them. Good mental health can help to prevent development of mental changes. So if we have good mental health, or we cultivate good mental health, we can somehow ward off developing any kind of mental disorders. And it helps us have a positive outlook in life. We can cope better if we have good mental well-being or mental health. So times of difficulties, challenges, adversity, crisis, we are able to cope up if we have good mental health. It helps us to be more creative and we work better, our productivity levels are better. And very importantly, it also helps us to have good relationships in life. We have good mental health. Uh, so we are not having too many frictions and tensions interpersonally with other people. Then it enables us to work productively, reach our full potential that we are all meant to reach. We make contributions to society only if you're well. If you're ill, if you're moody, if you're unhappy, if you're having an anxiety problem or a depression, आपकी दुनिया आपकी साथ साथ ही आप रहते हैं. And it's more like internal looking rather than even looking at the world outside. So you can't contribute to family, society, or the community until you're absolutely feeling healthy in your mind. It helps us to think more clearly and rationally, and it helps us enhance our self-esteem. But these are only some aspects, not a all-inclusive list. Main things that I put out. And importantly, I want to point out that poor mental health also makes us more vulnerable to certain physical or medical problems, such as diabetes, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, lots more, irritable bowel syndrome, arthritis. They all have a huge psychological component, usually mediated, what we call as stress in very normal language. Stress mediates a lot of psychological feeling of being unwell, which translates into organ damage. And I'm sure Kavita can also add and throw more light on it later. Next one. Ignore our mental health. It's so important. If it permeates every aspect of our life, why do we? So here are some pointers, and you can reflect on them and see if it's happening. First is a simple act of awareness. Very basic, and I think a magazine like Mind Diaries fills that gap a lot by helping to raise awareness. And there are a lot of awareness programs through media of different kinds. We as have been involved in for years since I think the RAHAT was established in 1988. We did a lot of awareness programs since then in different forums, institutions, universities, colleges, communities, rural, semi-urban, that different kind of awareness programs. Because even though we know that the mind can become unwell, we know how to recognize when we are unwell. And that's where I think the awareness of specific kinds of mental health problems need to be disseminated to the public at large. Misinformation. A lot of times, people, it's ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता है. Depression कुछ नहीं है. Be strong. Just pull up your willpower. Be determined. You can get over it. So there is a kind of being in denial as well as being misinformed about the nature of things can affect your brain as much as anything can affect your body. And brain means everything, the physical aspect and the functioning of the brain, which is the psychological aspect. There are trillions of neurons in the brain. They're all interacting. You can imagine there is some chaos somewhere, right? Things can go wrong. Not so perfect. So as long as we recognize that something can go wrong and not listen or be influenced by messages, people who say or kind of dismissive about issues regarding the mind. So be careful not to take everything in. Then there's indifference. मुझे क्या है? किसी के बच्चे को है, किसी को है, मुझे क्या है? But the statistics say that 1 in 4 people, 1 in 5 people can develop some mental health issue, some form of mental health problem once in their lifetime. So it could be anybody in your family. So you cannot afford to be indifferent. You have to know, recognize, identify, and seek help. So being in denial is a lot of people are in denial. I know a lot of parents who deny that there's a problem with their child, very dismissive. कुछ नहीं है, शरारती है, वो बस कुछ नहीं, ठीक हो जाएगा, बड़ा ठीक हो जाएगा. And I'm using the male gender, but it could be equally applicable to the girls as well. Then it's a low priority for even the health ministry. Less than 2%, you know, we are pleased to have 2%, but it's even less than 2% that we are spending of the health budget on mental health. What is the importance of policymakers, the government are doing to actually make sure that, you know, now there's a lot of noise and suicides हो रहे हैं, चलो schools में counselor appoint करो, I know, you know, or in colleges we should do something. Everybody's trying to spring into action, but it's only when you're pushed to the edge that action takes place. So that indifference needs to go, and this prioritization needs to be higher for mental health. Then there's a lot of shame and embarrassment around mental. People don't want to talk about it. They live with it, they suffer with it. They just think it is too shameful. And why? Because of the stigma around it. And it's a huge stigma to, even we professionals are stigmatized. You know, and if we meet people socially, they might avoid us because they are scared or they worry if they have at any time come for help, you might just kind of reveal that thing. So even the professionals are stigmatized. So the social stigma is great. People don't want to seek help. They really suffer a lot. There's a huge breakdown. There's a crisis. There's a huge psychotic reaction. You're managing in over a bit of it. Then you know you're all over the place trying to seek help, and then you land up in a hospital with admission. And things can be handled way before all that. That's what we have to recognize. Going on to the next slide. So, what is this? What does stigma do? When we stigmatize anybody with a mental health problem, we stigmatize a family member, or family members of a person who has mental health problem. We stigmatize the whole family sometimes. And so, what does it lead to? There are these attitudes of stigma that we should really watch out for and try and influence society in such a way that get rid of these attitudes. What do we do to people who have mental health problems? We isolate them, we ostracize them, we put them away in homes, mental hospital, asylums. We've been doing that for centuries. I don't know whether they've changed. Maybe the hospitals are better, the asylums are better, they upgraded. Everything was upgraded, but we still have those institutions. And it's very big challenge to have them part of the community and for the community to accept them. So that bit is still there. Then there's a discrimination when it comes to maybe moving around freely in the society. They look down upon. There is a discrimination in terms of jobs. In the employment sector, if they reveal that they have any mental health problem, they will not be given a job. There are various kinds of discrimination. And simple discrimination in schools, a child is going to a counselor for help. The rest of the class becomes immediately, suspicious, discriminating against it. तो वो तो चाह रहा है, उसको जरूर है, उसको प्रॉब्लम है, वो पागल है, इसीलिए वो काउंसलर के पास जा रहा है. So that kind of, and starting so young, can you imagine? Humiliation. Yes, people with mental health issues are humiliated, treated badly. They are teased, harassed, marginalized. They are put away and they are sometimes in the periphery of the society. They're not able to take part. They have a voice. Now we have better activism, mental activism, groups, so there is no voice. They're deprived of their rights. The right, sometimes property rights, sometimes the right to live with dignity, right to live in peace, right to live in the midst of people. All those rights are taken away. Loss of dignity. So they just don't feel that they're humans, they're dehumanized. Especially the severe mentally ill people. They're really treated badly. And if you go to any place where these people are, sometimes we don't even notice them. Just walk past thinking it's so, hey. So these are some of the stigmatizing attitudes. They have a loss of livelihood when they become mentally ill. Not every illness leads to loss of schizophrenia and bipolar. Sometimes leads to loss of a job because they can't sustain the job. Their mind is not stable enough to sustain. So that's a huge loss and you have no income. Then for accessibility to treatment. In India, we want to imagine the mentally ill, 80% of the mentally ill do not go to mental health professionals. Where do they go? Any idea? Any guesses? Quacks, jhar-fuk wale, faith healers, spiritual healers, gurus, astrologers, um, people who do exorcism, voodooism, tantrics, सबके पास जाते हैं यहाँ नहीं आते so that is the state of affairs. We don't have enough people and I'll come to that later. Next slide. So I think a small activity here. You'll find this great. There's a lot of boxes with coming terms. So I'll just go through one by one all the terms. And you have to say whether it's sign of lower level of well-being or high level of well-being. Right? You could just say it out loudly. Avoidance and denial. Low level. Okay. Self-awareness and acceptance.
High level.
Great. Emotionally stable. Great. Extreme fatigue and headache. Sure? Yeah. Okay. Motivated individuals. Sleeplessness. Everybody who's sleepless qualifies to be having poor well-being. So this is like a little border wala sitting on the fence. But I think people are repeatedly, continuously having sleep issues and problems. Could be having a mental health issue. It could be physical issue. It could be medical issues, but mostly because of mind not being at peace. Positive self-esteem, sense of belonging, irritability, positive outlook, sense of purpose, work concentration, personal growth, poor appetite or extreme weight loss, great, poor emotional control, flexibility of response, high level, yes, restlessness. Can people have restlessness without having any mind issues? Can be. We'll have to qualify. Some of them will have to qualify, but in general, people are highly restless, have are not mentally very happy or well. Perspective taking, mastery of environment, feeling of uselessness. Yeah. So actually, I put it out not because you want to know all this, but it helps you to recapitulate and it helps you to mentally kind of see what qualifies to be well-being and what qualifies for
Is this a feeling of uselessness?
feeling of uselessness. Yes.
Yeah. What do you
Feeling of useless. I am not good enough. I am not worthy. मैं कुछ भी नहीं हूँ मैं बेकार हूँ मेरे से कुछ नहीं होता है काम बाकी तो सब लोग स्मार्ट हैं मुझसे ज़्यादा स्मार्ट हैं so that's sometimes low feeling it comes from a very low self-esteem actually.
But that could be also because people around them are making them feel that way.
Yeah.
Especially-
So that is where your internal self-esteem guide, your internal compass, your internal guidance of who you are and what you are. Having a strong self-identity is very important to counter that. अगर वो भी नहीं है, तो भी कहीं पे वो not well-being की opposite side में जा रहे हैं. Because I told you, continuum है. So it's not absolute categories here. It's all on a dimension only. Right? So I'll just show the next slide where it's just quickly, we are all grouped. High levels of emotional on that side, which you've already answered everything, and low levels this side. There are also things like aggression, which was not mentioned in that, is digression. So in general, we know that there are two ways that we are sometimes.
I'm sure everyone here has greatly benefited from it. May I now introduce Mr. Vijay Kakwani, an award-winning author, storyteller, and an accomplished storytelling coach. He is the only author to win India's largest writing contest, Kindle Pen, published 2 years in a row. As a result, Kindle specially invited him as a jury for subsequent editions of the contest. Besides this, he has won the Platinum Trophy for Storytelling at Asia's largest contest fest, IFP, won in Tata Lake Fest, and has featured on many prominent platforms like the Ministry of Culture, MTV India, Big FM, IIT, and more. And all of this has happened after the age of 40. A true example of self-reinvention, Mr. Kakwani has successfully made storytelling his full-time profession after 23 years of corporate life.
So desperately needed this entire conversation on mental health. I remember many, many years ago when I wasn't feeling the best in my head. I was continuously debating, deliberating that जाऊं कि नहीं जाऊं, नहीं सब ठीक है. And I remember having multiple conversations with my wife who's sitting over here on that, saying कि नहीं. It was amazing. Dr. Sujatha's slides gave me a reminder of that. That's why I'm starting with that. I would write the whole list saying ऐसा लग रहा है, नहीं, जरूरत नहीं है, जाना चाहिए, नहीं जाना चाहिए. Multiple rounds. And then one fine day she got tired of it and she said, दांत में रेगुलरली दर्द होता रहेगा और पिछले 2 महीने से मन कर रहा होगा डॉक्टर के पास जाऊं नहीं जाऊं, तो नहीं जाओगे क्या? यस जाओ. तो जाके आने में क्या दिक्कत है? So we all talk a lot about accepting that there should not be any stigma around it, but I'm sure many people in this room would relate to it that when we don't feel the best in mental health, we still have that little hesitation of नहीं मुझे क्या होगा, मुझे तो कुछ नहीं होगा. So that incident I immediately got reminded, and then thankfully after that awakening by that one question of hers के दांत में दर्द होगा तो जाएगा कि नहीं जाएगा, I finally said okay down. I went for a few times and thankfully उसके बाद जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. So and cut to many years later, I meet this lady here, who founder along with Seema for Mind Diaries. प्राची के साथ बैठे हुए थे, कुछ बात चल रही थी. प्राची suddenly asks me कि तू ऐसा chill कैसे रहता है? What do you mean? Like, tension नहीं लेता है. You always are in a chill mode. So I gave her a ज्ञान वाला गालिब का शेर कि मुश्किलें इतनी पड़ी मुझ पे कि आसान हो गई. But गालिब had said it in a different context. What he had said was कि मैं इतना परेशान हो चुका हूं कि अब मुझे दर्द से दर्द नहीं होता. That was his perspective. Whereas my perspective was that I've learned through the difficulties that I've faced in life. तो मुश्किलें इतनी पड़ी मुझ पे कि इतना सीखा कि अब मुश्किलें आसान. So the story that I'm going to narrate today is something that I picked up from my life a couple of years ago, and like when we are dealing with tough times, we feel we are useless. We feel we are. Why is this happening to me? Why does this only happen to me? There are experts like Dr. Sujatha who are there to help. But then also, if we keep our eyes open, there are many other people around us. We just need to keep our eyes and ears open to take those lessons. And this particular lesson is what my story is about. यहाँ पे मलयालम कितने लोग जानते हैं? So she will, I'm sure you guys will be able to see the smile on her face when I say one Malayalam word, which is sweet Malayalam word, which is it's a sweet Malayalam word, which is Molu. Molu. मोलू का मतलब होता है, कहानी हिंदी में है. मोलू का मतलब होता है छोटू बेटी प्यारी बेटी। तो ये कहानी मोलू की है, और जबकि ये कहानी है तब वो 8 साल की थी, और तब सोचा नहीं था कि मेरी इतनी छुटकू सी बेटी का एक छोटा सा होमवर्क न जाने कितना रुला जाएगा और जिंदगी के बारे में कितना कुछ सिखा जाएगा। उन दिनों स्वप्ना, इधर है, उन दिनों स्वप्ना किसी काम में शहर के बाहर गई हुई थी, और मैं ऑफिस से थका परेशान बस अभी अभी घर लौटा, लैपटॉप कंधे पे लटका हुआ, दरवाजे की बेल बजा के अंदर झांक रहा था कि अभी मोलू आएगी, दरवाजा खोल। घर पे मेड थी, घर पे मेड थी, पर मेरे लिए दरवाजा खोलने का जिम्मा हमेशा मोलू का होता, और ये जिम्मा तो उसको किसी ने दिया नहीं था, उसने खुद लिया था कि पापा के लिए दरवाजा हमेशा मोलू ही खोलेगी। वो इसीलिए कि उस बदमाश को बड़ा मजा आता मुझे दरवाजे के बाहर बंदर की तरह नचाने। गलती मेरी थी, हुआ यूं कि एक बार खेल के कहीं से आ रही थी तो मैंने दरवाजे के बाहर रोक लिया कि मोलू पहले डांस करो, तब दरवाजा खुलेगा। बाप की बेटी एक नंबर बदमाश। उस दिन उसने डांस तो किया, पर अगले दिन से घर में एक फरमान जारी हो गया, आज के बाद पापा के लिए दरवाजा मोलू ही खोलेगी और कोई नहीं खोलेगा। उसके बाद से मैं जब भी कहीं से आता, खास करके ऑफिस से, तो आ जाती, दरवाजे के बाहर खड़ी हो जाती, दरवाजे के अंदर से खड़ी हो जाती कि पापा पहले डांस करो, तब दरवाजा खुलेगा। और मुझे मेरे ही फ्लैट के बाहर अड़ोसियों पड़ोसियों आने जाने वालों की घूरती नजरों के बीच बंदर की तरह नाचना पड़ता। कभी कभी तो फरमाइशी गाने लगा दिए जाते घर में कि इस गाने पे डांस करो, तभी एंट्री मिली। तो हर रोज का किस्सा, मुझे नाचना पड़ता, पर वो डांस के बाद जब मैं घर में घुसता तो पहला कदम रखते ही क्यों मुझसे लिपट जाती उस एक हक पे ना, मैं पूरी दुनिया को विराट करता। और जिस दिन की ये कहानी है, उस दिन तो मुझे उस हक की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत थी। मैं अंदर से एकदम टूट सा रहा। ऑफिस में चल रहे थे अप्रेजल्स, 4 साल और प्रमोशन। मैंने खैर फिर से बेल बजाई, मोलू आई, पर ये क्या, उस दिन ना उसने मुझसे डांस करने की जिद करी और ना ही मिला मुझे मेरा वाला हक। बस आई, दरवाजा खोला, पलटी, कुछ कदम दूर जाकर पीट करके खड़ी हो गई। मैं अंदर घुसा, मोलू क्या हो गया बेबी, पापा को आगे नहीं करेगा? नो आंसर एट ऑल। किसी फ्रेंड से फाइट हुआ? एकदम। अरे बाबा, किसी ने कुछ बोला क्या? नो आंसर एट ऑल। मैं भी इतना ज्यादा थका हुआ था, अभी तक बैग तक नहीं रखा था, उसके बाद खाना परोसना, मोलू को खिलाना, उसके बाद रात भर ऑफिस की प्रेजेंटेशन। मोलू बताओ ना क्या हो गया? मोलू टप 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 करके मेरे पास आई और क्यों खड़ी हो गई। क्या हुआ? हाँ, होमवर्क देना था। ओके, दिया नहीं पापा, रह गया, इट्स ओके। तो चला गया दिन, पर पापा कल दे देना पापा। पर पापा, अरे अभी कर लेंगे ना, अभी तो रह गया तो रह गया, कल दे देना। पर पापा कल नहीं दे सकते ना, अब नहीं दे सकते। वो पापा कॉपी भी तो स्कूल में रह गया, तो कोई बात नहीं। पर पापा में मैम मेरे को कल डांटेगी। अरे बाबा कुछ नहीं होगा, मैम कुछ नहीं बोलेगी। नहीं पापा मैम मेरे को बहुत डांटेगी। मैम सेड कि प्लीज स्टैंड आउट इन द क्लास, डजंट डू होमवर्क टुमारो। बोलू कुछ नहीं होगा। नहीं पापा मैम, बोलू पापा कुछ नहीं होगा। नहीं आप अभी चलो, अभी चलो, अभी चलो, स्कूल चलो, कॉपी लाने के लिए अभी चलो। बोलू नहीं पापा अभी चलो। तो फिर याद रखना चाहिए था ना, अब खा लेना डांट। कितनी बार होता है जब हम अपना गुस्सा चलते फिरते बच्चों को नहीं डांटना। मेरा एक कहना था और उसके आंसुओं की बाढ़ एकदम से जोर जोर से रोने लगी। बुरा लग रहा था तो मैं घुटनों के बैठ गया, उसे गले लगा लिया। थोड़ी देर में मेरी शर्ट का फंदा भी उसके आंसुओं में भीग गया था। बोलो प्लीज डोंट क्राई बेटी, कुछ नहीं होगा। मैम कुछ नहीं बोलेगी। नहीं पापा, बोलो कुछ नहीं होगा। मैम कुछ नहीं बोलेगी। बोलो छोटी सी बात। नहीं पापा। अच्छा अच्छा बताओ होमवर्क कौन सा? ओके, यहाँ पे लेट्स टेक अ वोट ऑन subjects we hated in school. How many for maths? Hated. Oh, founder says maths he hated. तो मैथ्स तो मुझे भी बड़ी नफरत, पर मोलू के लिए ऐसा नहीं। मोलू का रह गया था मैथ्स होमवर्क। मैथ्स था उसका सबसे फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट। ये वो उम्र होती है ना कि जब टीचर्स बच्चों के लिए भगवान जैसे हो जाते हैं। मैम ने बोला है जंक फूड मत खाना, मैम ने बोला है बैड वर्ड मत बोलना, आपको कुछ नहीं पता है। तो अगर टीचर्स भगवान होते हैं तो मैथ्स वाली शालिनी मैम की कैटेगरी थी भगवान में सबसे ऊपर, देवों के देव महादेव है। और सबसे फेवरेट टीचर ने अगर बोला है कि कल जो होमवर्क करके नहीं आया उसको क्लास के बाहर खड़ा होना पड़ेगा, सबसे फेवरेट टीचर से अगर ऐसी झाड़ पड़ी, ये ख्याल जितनी मोलू के लिए भयंकर इमोशनल सुनामी से कम नहीं है। इतना समझाने के बाद भी उस रात को इतनी रोई है, इतनी रोई है। आप लोगों में से अंदाजा लगा सकता हूँ कि काफी लोग पेरेंट्स हैं। अपने पेरेंट्स सर आप लोग ये बात मानेंगे कि किसी पेरेंट के लिए बच्चों को सुकून से रात में सोते हुए देखना इससे बेटर फीलिंग है? पर उस रात को वो भी सुकून नहीं। नींद में भी उसके चेहरे पर एक हल्का सा फ्राउन था। मेरी उंगली अभी तक नींद में कसके टूटी हुई थी, इतना घबराई हुई थी। काश मैं उसे समझा पाता, काश मैं तो समझा पाता कि ये होमवर्क ना करना, ये मैम का डांटना, इस तो खेलने वाली बातें, हंसने वाली बातें। जैसे हम आज की डेट में वो सारी बातें याद करके हंसते हैं, 2-3 साल बाद वो भी इसी किस्से पर हंस रही होती। काश मैं तो समझा पाता कि ये सब छोटी छोटी बातें हैं और लाइफ कितनी बड़ी है। पर ठीक है, बच्चे उसे कहां समझ आती हम बड़ों की बातें या बड़ों की दिक्कतें। बहुत छुट्टी थी, वजह से मैंने कहा मेरा 4 साल से प्रमोशन में बहुत मेहनत की थी और इस साल तो प्रमोशन मिलना ही चाहिए था, पर फिर आ गया वो नया बॉस और नए बॉस के नए नए स्टेट। आज कोई मेरी परेशानी भी आज कोई समझ पाता कि हम बड़ों को भी कितनी परेशानियां होती हैं, कितनी दिक्कतें होती हैं। क्या हुआ पप्पा, आपका भी मैथ्स होमवर्क है क्या? कोई बात नहीं, डोंट वरी, लाइफ तो बड़ी है। हाँ, ये तो छोटी सी बात है। शालिनी मैम कुछ नहीं बोली, उठ के देखा तो मोनू तो सो रही है। होता है ना, हम लोग किसी चीज के बारे में सोच रहे होते हैं, रात को सपना आता है। मैंने कोई सपना देखा, रात अभी पूरी बाकी थी, पर हाँ बात करनी थी। मुझे अचानक से मेरी जिंदगी के सारे अधूरे मैथ्स होमवर्क याद आने लगे। आप याद कीजिएगा, सारे अधूरे मैथ्स होमवर्क याद आने लगे। जब एक साल स्कूल में फेल हुआ, उसके बाद मेरे पसंद के कॉलेज में मेरे पसंद का चॉइस का सब्जेक्ट नहीं मिला, मेरा पहला ब्रेकअप, जब एक बार मेरी फ्रैक्चर हो गया था, 2 महीने तक बेड पे था, एक बार तो कंपनी तक बंद हो गई थी, नौकरी तक चली गई थी। उसके बाद कुछ देर बाद एक नई नौकरी मिली भी तो हुई थी, और वो भी पहले से अच्छी। नहीं तो हर बार होमवर्क अधूरा छूटने पर घबरा जाता था कि ऐसा लगता था कि इस बार जिंदगी खत्म, पर हर बार सब ठीक हो जाता। आपको कुछ याद आ रहे हैं ऐसे किस्से जब हमको लगता है कि ये तो सब खत्म, तो फिर सब ठीक हो जाता है। लाइफ एक्चुअली हमें हर बार सही पटरी पर ले ही आती है। जरूरत है तो इतनी कि हम वक्त के गुनगुने पानी में एक चुटकी हिम्मत और 2 चम्मच विश्वास बोले, मिलाएं और अगले दिन पता है उस बदमाश ने मुझे इतना नचाया है दरवाजे के बाहर, इतना नचाया है कि मैं थक गया, क्योंकि शालिनी मैम तो होमवर्क चेक करना ही भूल गई। और हमने उस दिन साथ बैठ के पूरा होमवर्क किया, और अगले दिन जब उसने कॉपी सबमिट की तो उसे नोटबुक में मिला एक बड़ा सा स्टार और एक प्यारा सा स्माइली, वेरी गुड वेरुष्का के साथ। और मुझे उस दिन मिला मेरा वाला प्रमोशन, नहीं मिला उस साल भी, पर हाँ मिला एक नजरिया कि हमारी आजकल की दिक्कतें परेशानियां मोलू का मैथ्स होमवर्क ही तो है, पर हम अभी बच्चे हैं। थोड़ा बड़ा होकर सोचेंगे तो लगेगा कि लाइफ की शालिनी मैम के जैसी है, ऑलवेज वांटिंग टू गिव अस अ स्टार एंड अ स्माइलिंग, वी जस्ट नीड टू गो वेट। आफ्टर ऑल लाइफ इतनी बड़ी है और ये सब छोटी छोटी सी तो बात है।
I would like to welcome this Kavita Devgan, an eminent writer and nutritionist who propagates practical, effective, and delicious ways to achieve a healthy lifestyle. A popular columnist with leading media, she is also a prolific independent speaker. Her books have been loved by Kalki Kwekla, Amish Tripathi, Kapil Dev, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Dr. Devi Shetty, Dr. Siddharth Mukherjee, among others. Kavita will be in a discussion on the correlation between food and mental health. May I please request Sachi Marwa, Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of the Mind Diaries, to greet her with a token of applause. Over now, you Satya.
So much for inviting me, and thank you for including food finally in this whole discussion, giving it the importance that it should always be given. It is very important for physical health, but I hope after this it will be taken as important for my mental health as well. Uh, I am an author, yes, of course, as you've said. I don't know how it began. I've always been writing, Prachi. That has been a part of my DNA. I don't remember when I did not write. But I think in the beginning, for many, many years, in fact, decades, it was just for my own self. But when I started writing for others, I chose the niche that I know the most about, which is health. And when I started, and this was way back in 2000, I don't think there were so many health writers per se. So that is a bit of an advantage for me as well. So the media literally lapped it up, and I wrote for almost every single media in the country. So then there on it moved on. When you have too much writing, or when you have too many ideas, and there aren't so many people willing to take your articles, what do? You start compiling them together as books. I think most people become writers like that. When there's too much that they've written and they have no takers in the regular mainstream media. So that's how the books started coming about. The first book was a weight loss book. That's what I was practicing. It was the easiest thing for me to write. And then thereon, one after the other, my books, usually came about through the columns that I was writing. So after the first book, Don't Diet, came, which was, like I said, about my weight loss practice. And then after that came Ultimate Grandmother Hacks, which is basically an ode to what I learned from my mom. Then came another weight loss book, because I thought giving just the art is not enough. You need to give strategies that work. So the Don't Diet plan came about. Then food, and which is actually the most important book I gave. It's called Fix It with Foods, because that one talks about foods and how foods can help prevent, as well as to an extent even cure a lot of issues, mental health included, frankly. After that came the immunity book, which was quite obvious because everyone was talking about immunity when we were all grappling with COVID. We've forgotten now, I would love to remind everyone we can't, and let's not wait for the next pandemic. But then that's how that book came about. And the recent one is a recipes book, because basically I want people not just to know information but also to practice it. So the recipe book lets you practice what I preach. So this is how it's been on. It's been a journey. The first book came out in 2016. So it's been 7 years? It's about 6 books. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I
mean, makes it help us understand a little more about how food can affect our mental health. We all know that it affects our physical health, but how does it largely affect our mental health? I guess through some light on it.
So Sujatha ma'am very beautifully explained the difference between brain and mind. And that's something not many people know about, right? So our brain is an organ like any other, literally in the body. I don't know why we don't understand that the brain also needs the same fuel that the rest of the organs do. So you eat food so that you get enough iron, so that you have enough of hemoglobin in the body, so that there's enough oxygen functioning. Similarly, brain also needs nutrients, and the fuel of the brain is your food. So the food you eat, if it is toxic, is going to be bad for your brain. If it is good and clean, it's going to be good for the brain. So the brain basically functions on 2 aspects. One is the hardware, as we call it, the structure of the brain. So if you eat a diet that gives you enough nutrients to take care of the cells in the body and let them function efficiently, that is going to take care of that aspect. Then there's the software, which is the neurons, and which is where the mind comes in. Then a lot of factors are important. So here, eating food that gives you certain compounds or leads to, let's say, production of certain neurotransmitters in the brain, it can help your mind function better. So your mental health is a direct product of what you eat. And that is a connect not many people get. Just do this one simple exercise as a rule for about, say, 3 weeks, or if you forget 3 weeks, for 2 weeks, just switch to clean eating. And clean eating is very simple. Just It's very easy to define. Like the word clean, it just means regular homemade food. Anything that does not come out of a package, anything that your grandmother would not have recognized as a food is out. Just do this for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and not only will you physically be better, you'll lose inches, you'll lose weight, which it will be very apparent. But just notice how much better you are feeling as a person, how your mind is functioning better, the brain fog is less. So rather than looking just at the physical aspects of how the food is affecting the physical aspect or the physiological aspect that we commonly use, most importantly, the scale that we keep standing on and the measuring tape that we keep using to measure our ages and our birth, try and notice the effect of what you're eating on your mind, on how you're feeling, even your thoughts, even your anger levels. You can go to those lengths and try to see the difference between what you were 2 weeks back when you started the clean eating and how you're feeling after those 2 weeks. If you quantify that, you will never go back to eating wrong. So basically, you will switch to eating a diet which is not just good for your physical health, but also for your mental health. So to answer your question, food is important not just for the physical health, but very, very clearly for your mental health.
Sure. Thank you.
Before we start the healthy diet, we would also like to understand why junk food is so addictive and what effect junk food and packaged food have on our mind.
All right. So junk food is a four-letter word. Has anyone noticed? Yes. So we need to understand that it is a four-letter word and take it like that. I like to do this association game play this with a lot of my clients, and it's there in my book also. That you need to do, but you'll be very surprised to know. In fact, I've written this in my book, Ultimate Grandmother Hack, the second book of mine, that somehow our parents, our grandparents, fed us food which became our comfort food, which science now today is proving as physiologically also comfort. For example, kheer. I don't know how they knew, maybe by observation or by common sense or logic, but kheer science tells us today is a combination of protein and rice, which is the best possible combination for your brain to get up high and feel good. When we used to go for our exam, we would be given chini. Again, it's the same thing. The sugar gives us a little high and energy, and curd calms us, so we are able to give the exams better. So, when both emotion and science come together for a comfort food, that comfort food is perfect. But again, like I say, doesn't matter if your comfort food is just good. You need to know how much of it to have. For example, when I was growing up, kheer was not made every day. Kheer was made for special occasions. So we learned to, respect those boundaries. We knew we would get kheer on special occasions and we'll get one katori. Today, every single day, your child is upset, you order in a pizza. Your child got good marks, whatever, you order in something, you order a tub of ice cream, or you take the child out for a popcorn. So there is no healthy setting of comfort food boundaries today. So there is no harm in eating comfort food. It does not come in the comfort foods, frankly, do not come under the emotional abuse umbrella, as long as you know how to use them smartly. Because food can be a wonderful tool for psychological, like obviously calming and making us happy benefits, for social benefits, when you sit together and enjoy a meal that is a comfort food for the family, it's a big social bonding time. So using the comfort food in the smart way and using the right foods and right ingredients by combining the knowledge that science has given us. Science tells us, like turmeric is great for us, chickpeas is a happy food, oats are a happy food. So all these, and making rituals wherein at in happy occasions or in stressful occasions, those are the foods that you serve or make at home. Uh, I think comfort foods can be used as a wonderful tool to keep people happy and keep depression away.
You. So that brings me to the conclusion that comfort food has a lot to do with our experiences in childhood. And so I think we all, since we are about or are raising kids, we should be very mindful about what comfort food do we offer to them.
Yeah, so for that, you need to serve as a role model. You can't be ordering a pizza yourself and expecting your child to eat dahi chawal, as a comfort food. And dahi chawal will frankly make the child physiologically happier. Because it will lead to release of, neurotransmitters, which will calm down the child and make the child happy. Why is khichdi such a comfort food? Why do we eat it in times of sickness? And or chicken soup for that matter? There are memories attached. Maybe when you were a child and you were unwell and you were given khichdi. Or your grandmother used to make a lovely chicken soup and that's what you need when you're sick as well. Give that to your children. We aren't doing that if we're giving a huge disservice. We're growing them up on a staple diet of junk food, which is becoming their go-to comfort food. I mean, those movies where they show that you're stressed and you're eating a tub of ice cream are doing the biggest disservice for them. Because that ice cream is not making you happy. It's just giving you that temporary 10-minute kick, and you'll be sadder by the end of it. So making your child learn the right comfort food rules is the biggest, service you can do to your child. And I don't see that happening in a single household today. Sorry. I mean, maybe a couple of people can share their comfort foods. I'll go first. I had that today as well. I just love ajwain namak ka roti with, a nimbu ka achar, a particular nimbu ka achar, which is made by my mom. I haven't yet learned time to make it, but I should. So that always calms me. Maybe you can share your comfort food.
I think mine would be pudina poha.
Lovely. Poha and pudina. You put pudina in the poha. Lovely. Anybody who would love to share it? So lovely. So lovely. Yeah.
Tandoori with lots of vegetables.
You are supremely a healthy eater. Yes, dal chawal. That I think for a lot of people, we travel, we come back, and you want to get dal chawal. It could be anything for anybody, And maybe people are being polite here, not telling me their darkest comfort. We don't have to tell. Her comfort food.
My comfort food is khichdi.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, so you're getting there. You're getting there. Someone else would like to maybe at this side of the.
Actually, I also like South Indian food.
So you like idli and stuff. Oh, yeah.
Maggi is
Yeah, so this Maggie nonsense again. I was waiting for someone to say that. Sorry, but I was just waiting for someone to 2 pounds on you. So, you know what? Okay, so if you read the label, after the atta, and atta is a small percentage, the rest is still maida, by the way. There are like 10 other ingredients, colors, additives, a whole lot of other list, which is directly bad for your brain. Please, of all the people, man, not you.
I ask like this because I feel it's being promoted.
Yes.
It's not an
That anything that comes out of a packet, let that be a once in a while treat. Distinguish between comfort and treats. Your treats can't be your comfort foods. You should distinguish that and teach your children the distinction. Maggie is a treat. Once in a while if your child really wants it. or you really wanted, what child? I think we're all children in the heart. So anything which is not good for you, for your health, for your physical health, cannot be good for your mental health. So Maggie, obviously, it's a very simple way to identify. Whether it is atta Maggie or it is regular Maggie. In fact, I would say that if a regular Maggie gives you satisfaction and you get satisfied after eating it once and you can stay away from it for like next 3 months, better have the regular Maggie rather than eat the atta Maggie and then the next day eat the regular Maggie. Because obviously the wheat Maggie did not satisfy.
Yeah, thank you. That brings me to the question of fad diets. What do you think, how do they affect our mind? Like keto diet or low carb diet? Every 15 days, 20 days, there's a new diet out there. So how do we deal with all of that information?
Oh, so I have an analogy in my first book where I say that you need to go and find the highest window you can find and go and drop the word diet from there so that it just breaks its pieces and it goes out of your life. Because diet is not a four-letter word. Diet does not, and I say this in every talk of mine because I love to. Diet does not mean not eating. When did we even move to that? Diet means eating. What is your diet? It's what you're eating. It's not what diet are you on. The moment the switch happened is when we messed up. Literally. Yeah, my books are on no diet because of that. Simple. Because the fact is that what you eat is what matters. Asking somebody to remove something from the diet, that's where the story starts getting messed up. Just where. If there's anything clear in nutrition, is a very nascent science. Every day we are discovering something new. Every single day. What I know today will be obsolete maybe I don't say a week, but maybe like a year. It will be obsolete because every day we're discovering something. So but the rule that has stood the test of time, even after 5 decades, is that we need all the major food groups in our body. It is the researchers got that right. Otherwise, egg is good one day, egg is bad the next day. Fat is good for us, fat is bad for us. So all that keeps changing, but the only rule that you need to follow, one was moderation, like I mentioned, and the second is that you cannot remove any food group. By food groups, I mean fats, so obviously good fats, fiber, protein, carbohydrates. Yes, I mean, such a banned, much maligned word, but should not be. Because we're talking mental health. So fat diets, by the way, are diets that most of the fat diets will ask you to remove one of these from your diet. Only then that is how they create calorie deficit. But they are not needed because calorie deficit can be created even by eating everything, right? So stay away from fat diets. Easy way to identify is if it is asking you to remove any one food group, it's a fat diet. So FAD is a four-letter word. DIT is not. So stay away from them because they're just not worth it. You might, and again, there's a big might, lose a little weight, but you will gain back more. Promise. Take it in writing from me. If you lose 2 kilos by starving, by giving up something that your body needs, you will end up with a lot of health issues. And whatever little weight you lost, you're going to gain back more. So more than double will come back. I can tell you that. And in terms of mental health, since we are talking about that, and we are talking about diets that remove carbohydrates in particular from our diet, there's a term called hangry. Hungry plus angry. It's an accepted term now, ma'am, in your psychology. Yeah, but it should be like, spoken about more often. You remove carbohydrates from your diet. Easiest way to identify somebody on a keto diet. And they're always stressed, they're always angry. They fly off, And there's a reason for it. It's not their fault. You need carbohydrates to stay calm. You need carbohydrates not just for energy. The protein that you're eating will not reach your brain to form serotonin unless you combine a carbohydrate with it. Why do you think I love to give, and I do, dal chawal or khichdi for dinner? Whereas people say do not eat rice for dinner or carbohydrates for dinner. Because you sleep better, you are happier. This combination is giving you both protein and carbs, and that is only way serotonin, which is the compound that keeps us happy, is even formed in our brain. So removing carbohydrates completely from the diet will not give you a weight loss, might, maybe a little bit, but it will come back. Might lead to health issues, severe health issues, gut issues, and gut issues are directly, when you remove carbohydrates, you're removing fiber along with it. And when you remove fiber from your diet, your gut goes for restricts, and that's the first tenet of Ayurveda, that you need to eat a diet that is good for the gut to keep diseases away. And I can add here very confidently to keep mental health issues away. Because the gut is where 95% of serotonin, the feel good hormone, is made. If your gut is messed up, just because you wanted to lose 2 kilos or 5 or 10 kilos for a particular wedding that you wanted to attend, or a beach holiday you wanted to go to, you are messing up your mental health completely. So your gut is what decides your mental health. The fiber in your diet and carbohydrates in your diet keep your gut healthy. So you need to rebalance. I'm not saying just eat carbohydrates in every meal, but you need to you need to balance all important food groups.
May I now call upon Shreya, an artist and an enterprising young woman, as well as our youngest writer and a budding artist, Aditi Mishra, to come on stage and unveil our mascot. Shreya made our digital mascot and Aditi painted the one that they're unveiling now. Our mascot sometimes now is a reminder to always turn towards the light, to see hope and never forget you are enough. There is always a silver lining to every cloud. We would now head for an activity. Over to you, Vatsala.
I'm just an audience, and thank you to Seema who allowed me to do this activity. I'm a yoga professional, and since we had such an engaging talk on mental health, from Kavita Devgan's food, how it affects your mood, from a very engaging storytelling session, and from Sujatha ma'am's knowledge on mind and this thing, I just thought this is a little bit, if I could, just add on. It's a little activity which all of us can do every day, and it will just help bring down your stress levels. So I request you all to just hold your ears. Ladies, just be careful, you should do it without your ear this thing. And just caress your ears. Just caress your ears. Close your eyes. If you want, you'll enjoy it much more. And just see how you feel. You can even take your hands and just gently open your eyes and just look at me once. Yeah. One hand below and one hand, and just run it. This stimulates all your nerves, your vagus nerves, which is responsible for calming you down. So one this simple activity, if you do it just 2 or 3 times, it is going to help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. As I draw the program to a close, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our official partner Vinhan, our sponsors Sustainable Green Initiative and SL Communications, and our marketing partners Inclusive Marketing.
I don't know what to say. I'm really overwhelmed. And if I break into a tear, please bear with me. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I've had a long journalistic career, 35 years plus, but I've never felt so, overwhelmed and I don't know what to say, nervous while talking to everybody. But today I have butterflies in my stomach. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for making our anniversary celebrations a success. I'm truly overwhelmed and touched. Thank you, Dr. Sujatha Sharma, for agreeing to address at our first outing. My connection with you has turned out to be as lovely as my association with your husband, Dr. Rakesh Sharma, when I was with the Hindustan Times. Thank you, Kavita, for cheerfully agreeing to join our program without even meeting me once. That is universe conspiring. Pure trust, this was. Thank you, Mr. Kakwani, for giving us not just your precious time, but a precious story too. And all of this would not have been possible without the solid support and presence of all those who have attended this celebration purely because of your belief in us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and from all of us at the Mind Diaries. Thank you very much. I now invite you all to join us in cutting the cake and join us in the refreshments. Have a very restful weekend.